Stop outsourcing your convictions. People don't just outsource their tasks anymore. As I read from my notes here, they outsource their convictions. What they believe, who they are, and what they tolerate, what they defend, what they reject, all of it starts becoming and getting handed over to the internet, to friends, to teachers, to trends, whatever voice sounds the loudest. And it's not always the most obvious things at first. Sometimes it is the minor things that seem insignificant. What you laugh at, what you accept, what you call normal, what you stay silent about, what lifestyle you start copying. These small things can add up very quickly, and before you know it, you are living from borrowed belief systems. People outsource convictions to the internet, to friends, to teachers who may be teaching from their own experiences and wounds, most importantly, and to other people's experiences that shape them. I have not seen people even live by what they claim themselves to be. A long reason why I didn't want to be a Christian for so long or even have anything to do with God was because every single example of a Christian I see majority of the time did not live up to who they claim themselves to be. But I realized if I allowed myself to let my faith or let my perception of Christianity or God be perceived by other human beings who are imperfect, just like you and me are, I would never become Christian. I would never believe in God. I would be an atheist who would have all whatever I wanted. Not saying that God may not bless me. He probably will. But I would have whatever I wanted and be miserable. Now, God's not going to give you whatever you want, because if he is, then it's not really God. That's just you. Anyways, right? If you are not rooted, you can start letting someone else's confusion become your framework. Now, during that period of time where I was questioning my own faith and wondering if I really wanted to be religious, I used to call myself spiritual, right? I usually try to research both sides, and even now, I still tend to try and find a nuanced answer, because nuance is the only way to life. I was talking to a couple of friends during a Bible study, and one thing that I kept emphasizing is I don't like looking at the world as the world wants to look at after we turn into a certain age, which is black and white. Because black and white thinking doesn't get you anywhere in life. It gets you to a life of hatred. It gets you to a life of either one side or this. And that's never usually the way. The real way is still having the curiosity of a child. Childlike curiosity. So seeing the world in color. We're not in the 60s no more, people. Look at the world in color. Stop letting whatever has happened to you in your life to remove that childlike curiosity and understanding. Because if you try to come from a place of compassion and conviction, you'd be surprised how much more people you'd be able to convince to join the right side. But during those times where I researched, there were even times where I caught myself slipping, going off, and what I saw based on social media. And that was the biggest warning sign where I knew that I had to rebuild my conviction under God and not just my feed. Now, everybody has opinions. Opinions can be personal, debated, limited, or still forming. But a conviction is different. A conviction humbles you to truth. It is not just something you say because it sounds good. It is something you stand on because experience, research, and God have made it undeniable to you to deny any longer. Anyways. A lot of people are afraid of what others may perceive. That is another thing. And that fear tends to create a fragmented state of identity. And you know something is not true or not right, but you tolerate it because taking a stand might cost you approval. But if you love someone, the truth has to matter. Otherwise, you don't love that person. You don't care for that person. Compassion and bluntness are not enemies when they are governed under God. When your beliefs are built by the crowd, you become easier to control. That is the whole concept of 1984. 1984 was created in 1948. And one of the main things is how people were trained to surrender their thoughts, their language, their memories, and their convictions, that they became manageable and under watchful eye easily. And we're seeing a parallel to the same thing, just in a much more corny way, in my opinion. It's a lot cornier. It's a lot cornier. So much cornier. You let tech oligarchs, what people call nerds. I don't want to call people out of their name, but people call nerds control you. Ain't that crazy? The crowd cannot be your conscience, is what I'm saying. God requires faith and surrender. Not just, I believe in God as a label, but total surrender to his will and to his truth, and understand that you are going to be persecuted during these times because that is the path you chose. And I'm talking to myself too. I'm not just talking to you as if I'm perfect. If he is everything, then my convictions cannot just be whatever is trending that week or month or year. They have to be submitted. The conviction I'm trying to stand on is not just God and his way, but my morals, the way I treat others, the way I train myself to be an example, whether in public or private, no matter what I'm going through currently. That is not easy. I didn't say it was supposed to be. But conviction is not supposed to be convenient, guys. It is supposed to be rooted. And rooted is often harder than doing whatever you want, because whatever you want is not rooted often. So, take a moment and examine what you believe. Not just what you repost. Not just what sounds smart. Not just what your friends agree with. Ask yourself, who taught me this? Why do I believe it? Have I lived it? Have I researched it? And most importantly, have I brought it before God to be determined to be true or false? A lot of times you don't have to ask God. It's really in the Bible. But sometimes if you need that extra understanding, always ask God before going to the Bible, because he can give you understanding and lenses that you wouldn't have been able to have before with your human understanding. Excuse me. But stop outsourcing your convictions, guys. The crowd is not your conscience. I love y'all. Peace out.